I'm Mike Peterson, and welcome to my podcast. What's up, team? I'm dating my wife. She lives in Michigan, I live in Ohio. I decided that I'm gonna go visit her after I get off work, and I get off at about 11:30. Hop in the car about 12:30, start driving to Michigan, 3.5-hour drive. In the process, just outside of Cleveland, I get a flat tire. There are no mechanics open that late. Tow truck driver drops the car off at a mechanic shop, takes me to a hotel. I go to check in, and the lady kind of chuckles and laughs. And so I asked her, I said, "What's so funny?" She said, "Well, just so you know, there's a KKK rally that's going on in Cleveland, and all of the folks are staying here in this hotel." So, only I would do something like this, right? And let's just say I didn't get a whole lot of sleep that night. Door shut, chair under door, ready to spring into action, whatever. It was a long night. Now, by the way, that had absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I thought I'd share. So when I get up in the morning, I call a cab. Cab driver picks me up, and en route to the mechanic shop, he starts telling me that I'm going to more than likely be his last customer. He said he's been driving a cab for 7 months, and he just got a new job. He said 7 months ago, he was a vice president for a large company, and they had to downsize. They were top heavy and had to downsize, and he lost his job. He said recently he received a call from a former employee who offered him a job to come in and train the trainers at a high level position. He said what was interesting was this employee used to work for him at the other company. And he said, she was in a position where we were actually thinking about letting her go. She just wasn't meeting the standards that we wanted. And he said, but before I got rid of her, I had to invest just a little more. So he spent some time with her and trained her and worked with her, and he saw the capabilities and potential was through the roof. She was creative, she was engaging, she was smart. So he worked with her, and she began to excel and actually was promoted, moved up. He said, I never thought when I was doing this that 7 months later she would come back in and change my life by offering me this job. He said, if I had one thing that I would want to tell people is that when you have someone on your team and they're struggling, and maybe they're not meeting the standards that we want them to meet, before we decide to discard them, invest time. He said, because had I not done that, I would not have known how great she was. And maybe she wouldn't have reached her potential. So what an awesome lesson. And if you think about it, it makes sense. Because if you look at people that have achieved great things, those that have achieved those amazing things usually had amazing adversity that they had to face. Like Abraham Lincoln. I mean, think about this, right? Abraham Lincoln probably lost more political competitions than he won. And he even had a nervous breakdown. And yet he changed the trajectory of this country as a president of the United States. You look at Michael Jordan, right? Here's a guy who was cut in high school basketball. And now he's the best player that ever walked on a basketball court. Or let's look at Albert Einstein, a man that people didn't think was smart or intelligent. They questioned him in high school, and now he's considered a genius in our world. Or how about the Wright brothers, right? Orville and Wilbur, right? Can you imagine? Some were saying, hey, listen, you're going to try to fly a plane. They had more failures than anything. People looked at them like they were crazy, and they were saying, Orville, Wilbur, what are you thinking? Now what they say? Orville, Wilbur, can I get first class? The bottom line is, you have an opportunity to invest. Coach Trussell, Youngstown State, Ohio State coach, said something that I thought was interesting. He said, my goal is to make these players better players and men than they really are. Think about that. That's investing. So listen, just remember this. You may have the next great on your team, and they may require work because they may have all the ingredients, but you help them put it all together. That's what they need. So whether it's a company, whether it's a team, whether it's an organization, are you investing? Because if you do, well, you and your team are destined for greatness. Because there's greatness in every single one of us. Sometimes we have to be pushed. Sometimes we have to be guided. Sometimes we have to be pulled. So just remember, invest, team. Remember to subscribe, like, and comment. I would love to know who have you invested in and who invested in you. Please leave those in the comment. And remember, keep swinging and keep knocking down giants.